Hello, it's Monday. Welcome to Fireside Chat with Kimberly. I'm Kimberly. Thank you to Revolution Gelato, the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, Orgain, Terra Seed, and Revolution Gelato. I invite my viewers to enter the monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com and click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy just by liking and or subscribing to our social media and Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel. You're entered to win one of 7 prize packs. All right, welcome. So tonight, first, hello to everyone who's here. So feel free to say hello. Hi, Diane. Thanks for being here. All right, so let me know if you're here. Great. Hi, Keisha. Hi, Leah. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. Tonight, I wanted to talk about, first, if you have questions that are related to what I'm talking about, cool. If you have other vegan lifestyle questions that are not related to what I'm talking about tonight, that is also cool. Because really, the reason why I'm here is to answer questions, but I have to have something to talk about in case no one has questions. Hello, thanks for being here. So tonight I want to talk about chick hatching projects. Do you guys know what that is? I didn't know that that was a thing until I, it was a while ago, but it was probably like 20 something years ago. I was a substitute daycare teacher. The room that I was teaching in for 3 months, I was filling in for someone who was on maternity leave. Um, I had kids that were too young for this. They were like 18 months old, give or take. But the daycare actually went up to kindergarten. There was a kindergarten class there. And the kindergarten class was doing a chick hatching project. That was the only time in my whole life I'd ever seen this. I never had this opportunity when I was in school. So, what that is the school decides that they want to teach kids about life cycles and they're going to bring in live animals to do it. Who thought that was a good idea? I don't know. Especially these days, right? We've got the internet, we've got videos, there's definitely even graphics, right? You could have an animated version of all of these things that would look pretty realistic. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what happens is the school, daycare or, elementary school will reach out to a local supplier. Oh my goodness. Let me share that. That is amazing. There's a chicken named Helene. Oh, after our Helene, at the refuge from an abandoned chick project. Oh, we helped save them. Thank you. Oh, that's so lovely. Warms my heart. So the school will reach out to a supplier and they'll say, "Hey, we want to teach kids about life cycles. Can you give us some chicken eggs? And we're going to hatch them in the school, likely inside of an aquarium with very bright hot lights." And the supplier says, "Sure, here you go. Here are some chicken eggs." And of course, the school pays for this. They're not actually going to give them anything. And then when the school says, "What do you want us to do with them when they're done?" And they'll say, "Just ship them back." End of story. No further questions, no further information offered. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So then the teacher of the class who is observing these poor animals will then set up the tank in the classroom and turn on the hot lights, which are supposed to make the chicks feel like mama is sitting on top of them, keeping them warm. And then for the next few weeks, the kids come into class every day and they observe what's going on. I learned some very interesting things that I didn't know. Um, and the first thing that I learned, like we all know that the mama hens sit on their eggs and they keep them warm, and that's like we've all seen that, right? Videos and pictures. So that doesn't seem weird, or not weird, but that doesn't seem like something we didn't know. But what I didn't know, and maybe you don't either, is that in addition to sitting to keep them warm, mama actually rotates the eggs, sometimes up to 30 times a day. Because what will happen if the eggs just sit still in the same spot, the same position all day for weeks on end, the the chick will actually their bodies can start to stick to the inside of the shell, and this can cause all kinds of deformities. And it can make it very difficult for the chick to even break out of their egg when they're finally ready to hatch. I had no idea about that. But what will happen is mama talks to her babies much like the way human mothers will talk to their babies when they're in the womb, right? We've all seen that. So mama hens do the same thing. And so they'll chirp, and get this, the chicks inside the egg, they chirp back. How cool is that? So they have like this conversation, and mama will know when to rotate. And so she'll do that very often in these chick hatching projects. I don't know if the teachers don't know or if it's just they're not around them enough. The eggs don't get rotated, or they don't get rotated often enough. You have to figure, how long are people at school? Like 8, 9 hours. Teachers, not the kids. The teachers are probably at the school 8, 9 hours. And if you're a teacher and you work more than that and you're offended by this, I'm very sorry. But I'm just considering the time in the classroom where interaction with the chicks could happen. That leaves all night, that leaves all weekend, that leaves, like, I don't know, is there spring break happening? I don't know when schools typically do this, but could school be closed for a period of time? And now they're not getting tended to at all. And what happens if one of the chicks hatches during a weekend or overnight and hours or days? That hatched chick is alone. Right? 'Cause what happens when chicks are hatched is mom's there, and mom tells them what to do next and make sure that they're okay. But there's nobody there to do that. Oh, they do. Okay. So it seems that they go home with someone. Well, that's really nice to know. So thank you for that. The research that I did, nowhere did it indicate that they leave the classroom. So I appreciate that that bit of information. What I did read was that there was a lot of concern over what happens when they're alone. So thank you. Um, okay, yeah, got it. Thank you. All right, so there's that. Sorry. Chickens have distinct personalities just like humans do. That means that, they have friends, they have a hierarchy. I mean, the term pecking order comes from the way chickens handle their business. And when these chicks are hatched, there's nobody around to tell them where they stand, right? There's no development happening from the time that they're born, the same way it would be if mom was there for them to understand, where do I fall in this pecking order? All of these guys with me are babies. None of us have any idea what's happening. So they miss out on a lot of these natural experiences that should be happening when a chick is hatched. They should start to explore the world the way a chick is supposed to, with mom by his or her side to kind of guide them and teach them. Chickens have more than 30 types of vocalizations, and they can recognize faces, up to 100 faces, based on the research I did. How cool is that? And it's not just chicken faces. They don't just recognize others that look like them. If you are a person who spends a lot of time with chickens, they will start to recognize your face too. So, thinking about these chicks coming into the world and like living in an aquarium for the time period that they're at the school before they get returned, um, it's so heartbreaking because they're missing out on so much. And when we're teaching children that it's okay to take animals out of their proper environment so that we can learn about them, and we're taking away all of the things that make them them, how much are we really teaching them about chickens and about the chicken life cycle? Sure, I guess we can understand they're in an egg, and a couple weeks later they're going to hatch because there's hot lights, aimed at them all the time. But that doesn't teach the kids the whole process, right? And then they meet these chicks, and like they're so cute. and and they meet these chicks and they're so cute, and now the kids are attached to them. So that's great that the chicks get a little bit of interaction, but it's not really the life that they should be living. And the kids see them in this very different environment, and so they're missing out on exactly what, like, the chickenness of chickens, because again, like, they're not getting that natural experience, that natural environment. um and then so what happens when the project is over? So now these are chicks that have hatched. There's no more to learn, right? According to the program. So it's time to do something with them. Well, from what I have discovered, that some of the companies that have supplied the chicks, like I said at the start, they will say just send them back. So my first question is, one, how are they sent back? Are we shipping, live chickens in the mail? And I don't know. There's probably rules around that. So I'm just kind of um, like talking through this from a very novice perspective. But even if they got safely back to where they had been purchased from, chicks, these chicks can also carry like salmonella. So yeah, that's another thing, how like the kids at the schools can pick up things like salmonella from these baby chicks. But if they're going back to a chicken supplier where this company, the people who run it, they view chickens as a commodity, they are a way to make a profit. If there's a risk that bringing back baby chicks could have salmonella, that could then salmonella could then infect the the group of chickens they already have, you better believe they're not going to do that. So what's the other option? They'll be killed. So now these chickens were purchased by a school, enjoyed by the humans at the school for a period of weeks, and then they are sent back, and then they're killed. There's also apparently this, where I guess the schools or the teacher or whoever is like, I can take those chicks off your hands. We'll dump them in a park. These chicks don't have any idea what it means to be a chicken out in the world taking care of themselves. They will very quickly become food for another animal that is in that park that they've just been dumped in. So please don't think that by releasing them into the wild, you have saved them, because you have not. They'll be lucky if they make it a couple of hours. So thank you for that. That is definitely the truth. Um, so let me backtrack a little bit. I swear I had my talking points in order. The whole idea that these chicks could have salmonella, the kids get to touch these chicks. They get to pick them up once they're hatched. They can cuddle them. Like, I mean, right? How cute, right? And that's exactly what these little kids are going to think. Oh my God, this is the softest little creature I've ever held. Let me nuzzle it. Let me kiss this little guy. Snuggle it up to my face. And then your kid comes home and now they have salmonella. And some strains of salmonella are actually antibiotic resistant. So, not really a good. I mean, if you ask me, I don't think it's a good thing for anybody involved. There's also the attachment from with the kids who now they start to understand like, "Oh, I can get attached to these animals and then they're just gone. We just treat animals like it's fun for me right now, and then it goes away." And I think that perpetuates the way that we view animals. We use them as we need them, and when we don't need them anymore, we can get rid of them or not deal with it anymore. And I think if we start setting children up with that kind of expectation, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing for the animals, of course. And I don't even think it's a good thing for us mentally. There's so much difficulty in the world. Being human is really hard, just on a day to day basis. And the more that we create these moments where we can disconnect from other living creatures, like we are doing ourselves a huge disservice, a huge disservice. We could be a kinder, gentler world if from the very start we saw animals as they truly are, as their own being, that they are sentient beings who have an interest in life, in fulfilling their chickenness, their cowness, their pigness, like just the way we have an interest in fulfilling our humanness. We live in a world that makes it easy to separate that, but it's so important that we don't. And so, if you have the chance to make that connection and to help children in your lives make those connections, I just don't see a negative there. So, what can you do about this? Let's say that you're a teacher. What if you're a parent and you find out that your kid's class is going to do this chick hatching project? Well, I have news for you. There are options that don't involve actual animals. I will actually post some links. Let me do that now to a couple of different alternatives. One is from Edgar's Mission, which is a sanctuary down in Australia, and they it says right in their document they took some of the information from the United Poultry Concerns. So there are some repeats in the information here, but I thought that both the first two websites really laid out some alternatives very nicely. And then the third website is actually one of those alternatives. And what it is, and I don't love the container that these eggs come in. So the alternative is a set of plastic eggs. I think it's 21 plastic eggs, and they show each cycle as the chicks are um, are incubated, and then the final egg is like you can open it, and it's like a chicken, like a baby chick. So I don't like that it comes in what looks like an egg container, like you'd buy at the grocery store. So, I mean, maybe they could have thought that through a little bit better. But the fact that these plastic eggs will allow the child to open it and look at what the embryo looks like when it first is fertilized all the way up until it hatches is pretty cool. And I mean, unless the teacher is cracking open some of these eggs before the chicks hatch, which is cruel in and of itself, the children aren't even able to see what's going on inside the eggs. They can look at pictures and then look at the egg and be like, "Oh, that's what's happening right now." But these little plastic eggs give them the opportunity to actually see like a graphic of what it looks like, which will give them a better understanding of the life cycle of a chick. Um, so there also were some options, and maybe it's not an option for everyone, depending on where you live. If you're very city bound and there aren't a lot of birds around, like this one's not going to really resonate with you. But people who live where there are lots of trees and there are lots of birds, like chicks are birds. So maybe the school can offer a field trip, or maybe it becomes kind of like a semester long, and I know semester is not the word that like elementary schools use, but um, whatever that is, it's been a while since I've been there. Quarter. For the quarter, it becomes a project where, once a week or something, you have to go outside in your backyard and you have to use binoculars and look at the birds. And if it's during springtime, then there'll also be nests and you can wait and listen. And eventually you'll hear that the chicks have hatched. And now you can hear the little babies calling for mom when she's out, getting food to come back and feed them. And maybe the kids have to, present about what they've learned about whatever the birds are that live nearby, or maybe they just have to identify the birds that live nearby. There's so many other ways to engage children in the natural environment where they can observe these cycles happening as they're happening, not as they're forced by human hand. And these birds are living, in a natural, they're living their natural bird life. So yeah, maybe you don't get to hold the baby bird, but that's okay, because we also are then teaching respect for animals, and we're teaching respect for these beings that don't need to be held by us. They don't, like, it's important to consider, I think, the experience not just from our side but from the bird side. These wild birds don't want humans touching their babies, and they don't want humans touching them. So let's learn to observe our environment, teach kids respect of the earth and the world that way. Which, I mean, I would imagine that the more we can have respect for the world around us, we likely will probably have more respect for the people in our world as well. But anyway, that's my thought on it. Does anybody have any questions, any comments about this? Um, I appreciate you being here listening to this. Well, while I wait for any comments or questions, just do uh, my usual information. I'll be back here Wednesday for the vegan stew. We're talking about dating non-vegans. Definitely have a lot to say about that. I dated many of them. My husband was a non-vegan before we got married, and went vegan only after we'd been married for a few years. So I'll be here Wednesday with the rest of the gang, with the stew crew, doing that. And then, of course, back here next Monday. I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about fur. I have some thoughts on that, and some cool stuff happening in the fashion world that way. So you can follow me on my social media, which is Did You Bring the Hummus on Facebook and Instagram, or you can go to my website and reach out to me that way, which is also Did You Bring the Hummus, but didyoubringthehummus.com. So I don't see any questions here. That's cool too. You can have questions later. Like I said, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk. And just thank you. Thank you so much. I am so honored and so lucky to be able to do this work, to talk about something that matters to me so, so much every week. And it's just incredible. And I love being here. And I love you guys. So thank you. Have an amazing week. I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'll see you back here on Monday. Thanks so much. Bye.